I am showing off a couple of our trumpets today. It is a Saturday afternoon, and the horn that is in my hands right now is the Muse MMXX, which is the Roman numerals for 2020. It was introduced in 2020, unfortunately during the pandemic. Because of that, we made very few, for obvious reasons. And here in 2022, we've made like 45 or 50 Muse trumpets. So this has really become the time of the Muse trumpet. And this one is a lot of fun because it's finished in silver and gold. And I just screwed on this bell, which is a number 3 in red brass. So let's play it. Alright, so I'm kind of getting warmed up on the horn. I'm going to switch the bell. I'd like to make it sound a little brighter. So let's take this number 3 off and find something that lights it up a little more. Okay, we'll pull that off. That's what it looks like without the bell. And this is a 1 LT. So that is a very lightweight bell that is a lot brighter. And then we can demonstrate it and make it light up a little bit. I'm playing on the Spectratone yellow mouthpiece, and I'll probably switch to the Spectratone blue as well. So that's what it looks like with the other bell. And you can mix and match finishes however you like. All right, and if you have questions, feel free to comment. Let me play a little Shostakovich excerpt with this bell. Oh yeah, it feels very different. Kind of overshot the B there. I think that's mostly me, simply because I haven't been practicing much, and I just filmed about an hour of videos. I'm starting to get the hang of it. So that is the number 1 LT. Let's move to something darker. Let me see what I have here that's darker. I have a bunch of stuff. What about, we'll get an 11 RX. Let's do that one. Okay, so that's going to be this bell right here. And again, that's what it looks like without the bell. And everything's removable on this trumpet, so you can remove the bell crook. And once you take that off with these 2 little thumb screws, it just pulls out, and you can then change the bell choke, which essentially changes or adjusts the vibration, kind of the resonance of the bell itself, so you can make it basically more or less vibrant. And I don't even know which bell choke is in there right now. I think it might be the 460. We have 440s, 450s, 460s, or we can make custom sizes too. So now that's the bigger bell. That actually projects a lot more. It's a lot louder in this room. And the red brass is more efficient, so it's not going to vibrate as much, but it's going to project the actual pitches and your tone quality a lot further away. Let me play that excerpt again on this one. Yeah, that feels good. So let's move on to the silver Muse, which we dubbed the Silver Safari. And I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see that. This one features some special deep engraving in the bell crook and in the tuning slide. Let's see if I can find a good angle to get that on both sides. So that is, I think, just a really beautiful looking horn as well. All the same features. In other words, everything you can do on the last Muse, you can do on this one. And that's really true of all Muse trumpets. They're completely universal. You can set up any of these trumpets to feel and sound exactly like any trumpet that's ever been built in all of history. So if you want it to sound like a rotary trumpet from the 1800s, it will do that. If you want it to sound like a cornet, it'll do that. All kinds of cornets. If you want it to be a lead horn, easily, it can be, we can actually match it with the spectrum analyzer to be the same as almost any instrument you've ever seen. So if there's one you really loved in the past and you want to replicate that tonally, you can do that. Let's play this one. Should play the same. I don't know if the insert's the same though. Got a reminder to film a video. Go figure. All right, so that is the silver Muse. And then we have a brass one here as well. All three of these will be released for sale. There are shop demos, and they're all brand new. They've just been lightly played by people who've come in to order Muse trumpets. And if you want to come in and order a custom Muse, you can. All you need to do is call us, 303-657-2747, or email us and set up a time. You can fly in or drive in if you're nearby, and we'll work through all the options with you, help you make the right selections for both lead pipes and bells that are included. And then we can discuss the finish, the fingerings, the way we set it up, the materials. If you want it made out of titanium or nylon, you'll have to wait a couple extra months because we're still finishing developing those, but that will lighten it up. And if you want the most efficient version, you're going to choose brass. And obviously this isn't too heavy. You can see I'm not some kind of bodybuilder, so this is more than reasonable to hold regularly. And we have about 50 clients out there playing on the Muse every day, so got a lot of good feedback with that. So let's play this one. It should play the same as the others. Though, because I can feel, I bet it's a different lead pipe and a different insert, because yeah, there's no insert in it. I could feel something was up there. So I had somebody in the shop a few days ago who played through all these Muse trumpets, and the inserts kind of follow the horn. If you're playing here and you find an insert that works well for you, we'll take it out of the trumpet you're playing and put it in the next one, and it kind of follows you around the shop. And this one doesn't have one in it. I just need to practice. Yeah, I need to practice. Excuse me. But yeah, that is the brass version of the Muse, and I'll pull this one up close because it has a lot of really cool engraving in the bell crook and the tuning slide. And these are all famous jazz musicians in the bell crook and in the tuning slide. You may know some of those names. And again, very similar setup, just different finish. And obviously not the same bell on all three of these, because the bell is whatever was put on there. So I could take this one off and put a gold or a silver or whatever kind of bell I want on there. And I played all these on the yellow, Spectrotone yellow. But let me play just a little bit on the Spectrotone blue. I'll do something a little more melodic. I think I was just doing arpeggios and tonguing, mostly to demonstrate how easy it is to move around on the horn. You could hear me play lyrical stuff or improvise on any of these trumpets, and that's actually easier than giving a real true performance demo of, hey, can I actually like do a couple octave arpeggio cleanly. Now, if I were in shape, I could probably do it exactly the same on every single horn, but I'm not in shape, which is probably a better way to demonstrate it to you guys, because you may hear the nuances of how messed up my playing can be when I go to a less efficient horn, which I'll do in a second. So there you can hear a much different attack. It's very soft, it's warm. I'll do a couple more arpeggios and then I'll play something lyrical. So that is the Muse with the Spectrotone blue. Now let's go to, what we've got right here is an XV1. Now this is one of our best entry-level instruments. And when I say entry-level, I mean a step above an entry-level Monad, a few steps above an entry-level Bach or Yamaha. Well, no. A few steps above a Pro line Artist Series Bach or Yamaha or Schilke, any of those. So this is the XVA or the XV1. The reason I say a couple steps above that is because we have features and research and development put into this line of instruments that's far beyond what you can get from the other guys. And that, you know, it makes sense. I mean, they're mass producing them. They have a factory putting out 100 horns a day or whatever it might be, and we build them one at a time, and we do it individually for each client. So it's very different. But we have the VGR system on all the Muse trumpets and on this as well. So I can fine tune the flexibility, the slotting, the airflow. I can increase the efficiency there. The X bracing allows for this instrument to be a lot more efficient than a standard horn, and at the same time a lot more resonant. So it's not quite as resonant as the Muse series you saw, and it's not nearly as efficient as those, but it's way above a lot of the stuff you've ever played. Okay, so I said it's not as efficient. I'm gonna have to work harder to get the B, like, I don't know, it's just the way it is. There it is. Still, really nice, beautiful, warm sound. It's the #1 bell, and it can be extremely resonant. Now let's put the Spectrotone yellow into this horn, and we'll get a little different of a sound profile, something that's more vibrant and brighter, and something this microphone on the phone will probably pick up easier. right, so that is the XV1. Do you guys have any questions on these horns? This was really meant to be kind of a demo to give you guys a chance to ask questions, but I also wanted to give you a rough idea of what's coming in the next few days. All three of those Muse trumpets will be released. Let me flip the camera around so I can see if we have any messages. Let's see here. Got to push the right button. All right. Your microphone gain is auto adjust to fit when you play the instrument. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, that's how it works. So if you're not familiar with cell phones, that's how they work. They automatically adjust. You just have to deal with it. Sorry. Thank you for everyone who wrote nice comments. I do get a lot of comments of people who are like audiophiles, and they think that somehow I'm going to spend a fortune in time and equipment producing these ultra amazing studio sound videos. I'm not going to do that. You know why? These trumpets sell so fast, it would be a huge waste of my time. I have a studio, a professional studio at home. I could do that. I'm not going to do it for you guys. Sorry. For those of you who like have to have that, just go watch a different channel. I'm seriously, like, I get so many complaints that there was some distortion or you couldn't hear my voice well enough. You just have to work with it. That's just the reality. I'm here to build great trumpets and to work with you guys. But if you want to come test them in person and come, spend some time in the showroom, if there are any left when you visit, because that's often the problem, call us ahead of time and make sure we have inventory. But if you want to come play them in person, then you're going to be able to hear everything you want. And if you want to record it, you can come and bring your recorders. We have people that do that all the time. Bring in your own Schilke or Monet or Hoop Van Laar or whatever instrument you're playing, and do recording comparisons if you want. We even have people who bring in other band members or trusted teachers or advisors, and they come in and be a second set of ears so they can figure out which lead pipe and bell system they want, and how much efficiency they want in their trumpet, how much they want to project, all those things. So you can definitely come in here and do that. What would cause an E to be very sharp and the octave lower E to be flat on a B flat trumpet? Well, the answer to that question is physics. That's just a byproduct of nature. So what causes it, if you really want to know, there is a book you can pick up called The Science of Sounds, and it's kind of the best book on brass acoustics there is. The short answer is brass instruments just naturally do play out of tune on almost every single partial, and it's up to you, the player, to learn how to bring them up and down. There are some things we can do to kind of fudge it this way and that, but there's no way to build a trumpet that's going to play in tune with equal temperament. And that's because equal temperament is a human invention, and it's a set of rules that doesn't match the physics of the universe, or at least of our planet. So the answer to your question is, what causes it is nature. I mean, really. And we've had lots of discussions about that over the years. People are asking, well, why can't you build a trumpet that plays perfectly in tune? No, we build people that play perfectly in tune by training them. But you can't build an instrument that does that. So yeah, every single trumpet in the world will play too high on some partials and too low on others. And I can walk you through all of those, but I've already done videos on that. You can watch them. And the easiest way to deal with that problem is to typically your E at the bottom of the staff will usually be sharp on most trumpets. It doesn't have to be on all, because they could have made the first slide or second slide longer. But usually it's sharp, so you want to pull out a little bit, and that can happen. And the E above the staff, I mean not above the staff, at the top of the staff, it really depends on the instrument. I would say that it goes both ways, unfortunately. And I think that's because in modern times so many people have kind of adjusted the lengths of instruments to change things. But in general, that can be adjusted by pushing 1 and 2 and pulling your first slide out. Okay, so if you do that, push 1 and 2 for the top space E, you're going to be sharp. And then if you pull the slide out, you're going to get back to in tune. If a trumpet, let me take your question a little further, because sometimes this is what happens, and it could be what's happening to maybe your instrument. sometimes the lower octave is maybe in tune and the upper octave seems to be sharp. And then the octave above that seems to be even more sharp. If that happens, we call that expanding octaves. And that is usually caused by an issue with the length or taper of the lead pipe and the way it interacts with your mouth, your oral cavity, and the mouthpiece. So that could be part of the problem. And the opposite happens too. Sometimes the octaves have been shrunk, they're smaller. And if they're smaller, it's the exact opposite problem and the same cause. Typically it's the tapers of the bell are too big when that happens, but sometimes it's also the lead pipe and the mouthpiece and maybe your oral cavity. If somebody has a very small mouth and they play the trumpet, typically they're going to start to play sharp as they go higher. And if they have a very large oral cavity, they tend to play flat as they go higher. The same thing is kind of true with the lead pipe length and tapers, and even the bell tapers sometimes. So hopefully that helped you with that. Do we have any other questions? Let me look here. Yeah, it's not unusual at all. So it's a great question, but it's completely normal. And it usually starts on D. So here I'm playing the gravity trumpet, but you'll see. So if those start to be sharp, you have to use alternate fingerings. And it really depends on the setup and the instrument. I don't have too much trouble with that on this horn. Hear how it wants to go sharp? So, yeah, that is very normal. You know, and I did do a video or two that explains, you know, the overtone series on the trumpet and which notes tend to be sharp and flat. There's even a whole chart. But if you Google that, I'm not the first one to do that. I mean, I'm like the 1,000th person to put that online. Well, maybe the 100th. But regardless, I didn't measure that first. It was measured in the 1800s. People figured it out. And it's really been true of all brass instruments. They have these tendencies, and it's because of the way that physics works. That's the simplest way to put it without getting into a really boring conversation for you guys. Cool. Any questions on the horns? Or any questions about trumpet playing? I know we have quite a few people who have seen my trumpet momentum videos, and that whole system is teaching you how to play the trumpet. It's for beginners, it's also for comeback players, and it's especially for people who are aspiring to just get better, whatever level you're at. If you're a professional and you want to get better, it's a great place to have a lot of resources and a community where we can discuss your issues and your challenges. But my approach is physics-based, and we mostly talk about aperture control and understanding how to facilitate the instrument itself, how to get around the instrument. We talk about things like intonation, how to become a very fast student of the instrument in a way that you can assimilate new music and new ideas very quickly. So if you have not seen the Trumpet Momentum series, I highly recommend just pressing the join button and at least subscribing at the lowest level, because you're going to get a lot of great content. We do our live videos on Fridays at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. If you're not ready to subscribe, that's fine. Make sure to at least, become a member. At least push the subscribe button and push the little bell and get the notifications when I do videos. Because, you know, my primary goal on YouTube is to review instruments and mouthpieces to help educate you guys. And the number one reason is to help you become better players. My goal has always been to be an educator and help you become a better player. I was actually a band director years ago. I've been teaching private trumpet lessons for well over 30 years. And my real goal is to make you better players. And the reason I do that is because I was very much struggling when I was a young player. I had a lot of embouchure issues, a lot of misconceptions. Some of it was taught by well-intentioned teachers. But at the end of the day, I discovered that I had to throw most of what I had learned away after I went into the physics lab and started to really dive into understanding how the embouchure works, which components do what within your aperture control. Then I basically rebuilt my entire embouchure and my approach and started teaching that. And I've been teaching this Trumpet Momentum series for over 20 years. And we started a new launch of it, I think back in May. And you're welcome to join all the way through until May of next year. And then after that, I think we're bumping the prices up to double. So if you are in the $50 category, now's the time to stay there and or subscribe, because I think May or June we're bumping it up to $100 a month, and that basically gives you a ton of resources to become a better player. It's much less expensive than taking lessons with me, because my lessons are quite expensive, and this way you get a lot more information and feedback. But I want to show you one of the quick things that we do in Trumpet Momentum, and then I'm going to have to call it a day. So we talk about how to create aperture control. So we want to find a way to hold our lips in such a way that we can create the pitches on the mouthpiece and on the instrument, but with as little mouthpiece pressure as possible. So what I'm doing there is creating the correct lip length and opening and the right amount of pressure to create that pitch, which is just a little squeak. It's just a little thing. Now, if I give it a little extra air, then it becomes more amplitude, a bigger note. And that's just a quick example of what we learn in Trumpet Momentum, but it's all based on physics and how the embouchure works and how the instrument works, how brass acoustics work. But the goal there is to teach you how to have a great tone, a lot of control, your full range of the instrument, great endurance. If you're practicing 30 minutes a day, you could probably have 1 to 2 hours of endurance, if not 3 to 4, just with that little bit of practice. Right now, I typically have about 1 hour of endurance, and I practice about 3 minutes a day. And that's probably actually 5 minutes per day, every other day. So what I'm saying is I hardly ever practice. All right, and then Jeff says, I can't believe I finally caught on to your sessions live. Oh, good, I'm glad you found one. This one was unannounced. I just came in here and did this for the fun of it to catch some of you. Mark says, it still takes practice, but it works, so join. Yeah, so I'll tell you one thing about Trumpet Momentum, is it's not like this quick way to instantly become better. It's quicker than other ways, but if you want to be really good, you're gonna have to put in the time, you're gonna have to practice hard, and you have to do at least 30 minutes a day in order to really make great strides. And I'd be lying to you if I said you could just do it easily because you paid me money. That's not gonna happen. Have you seen the Harrelson knockoff on eBay? Well, how old are you? Because I've been on eBay since eBay was created, and my trumpets have been on eBay since about, what year? 2001. And since probably a week after my first trumpet went on eBay, there were Chinese knockoffs that even said Harrelson and fill in the name or number of the model number. So yes, I've seen it. And if you go on Alibaba and a bunch of other, if you go to Japan or other countries, you will find actual branded Harrelson trumpets all over the world that are not mine, that I didn't build, that are nothing like what I do. That's been going on for 20 some years. So, I mean, I'm not sure we're the most copied brand, but I'd be surprised if we weren't the second most copied brand. And for some reason, I don't see knockoff Monettes. And it's not a legal thing. It's not because Monet is threatening people with lawsuits, because we really can't regulate most of these countries. So there's not much you can do there. I think for one reason or another, the Harrelson name has been just put on a lot of different things over the years. It's very easy to know if you have a true, authentic Harrelson trumpet. First off, when you pick it up and hold it in your hands, you're going to feel quality that you've never felt in a trumpet in your entire life. It's going to be that different, so incredibly different. And when you play it, you're going to know right away, wow, this is a very high quality instrument. But if you're unsure, you can send us photos or a link and just ask us, hey, is this a true, authentic Harrelson trumpet? There are only, I don't know how many really, but over 2,000 Harrelson instruments out there. So there aren't like, tens of thousands of them. I built them all myself. So I'll tell you this, when you see something that doesn't look like a Harrelson trumpet, it most likely isn't one. So, but yeah, they've been around there forever, unfortunately. All right, cool. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm going to go. Let me just play this again since I had a minute to rest. Yeah, I need to practice more, just like everybody, right? All right, I want to thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you next time. I hope you have a great weekend.